I'm Fallen Knight, also known as the Dark Hero, and welcome to Minecraft. This is a series where we're going to make things, and it looks like our first project is going to be a wooden sword. I'm going to be using a hatchet to trim down the piece of wood. This is neither a safe nor truly effective method. It is just something I've been practicing at so that I can use it for other purposes. So my suggestion is to use a much safer method, like cut the whole thing out straight from the beginning with a coping saw, or cut it out with an electric saw. Whatever you choose, it's really truly up to you, but I suggest being safe and smart and having less work for yourself, because if you do cut it out with a hatchet, it creates a large amount of debris that you have to clean up later. So it's much smarter to just go with an electric saw or the coping saw, because you can just cut it out straight and you don't have to deal with all the extra work. So today, this is the piece of wood we're going to be working with. This is scrap side wood from a table. So it was the side of the table, and I thought I could repurpose it, and I successfully have, actually, because that will turn into something like that. This is actually the one of the two described in the book that Drizzt Do'Urden uses. Made as closely as the book as I could. Silver blade, black handle, and cat on the pommel. This would be icing death. If you know anything about the books, you'd probably guess that that's gonna be Twinkle, and that would be correct. Wow, that was weird. And so today, tools-wise, I'm using a hatchet, probably not the safest method. So I do not suggest using this if you're inexperienced with working with wood, or you are reckless. That'd be the other way, you don't use the hatchet. A rasp, which is really good at getting fine detail in. A coping saw, so that when I do actually need a saw, I can use a fine saw to get it. And of course, safety goggles. The blue package is wood carving knives, which were essential to making the cat head on the pommel of the other sword. And then, of course, a pencil or a Sharpie, so that you can actually draw your design on. I've already drawn the scimitar onto this piece of wood, but it's not really visible to the camera because I used pencil. So I'm going to go back and do some of it in Sharpie so that the camera can actually see what I'm thinking of for my project. So the next part is to trim it as close to the lines that we drew as, for me, fast as possible. Don't forget your goggles if you're using a method that can toss wood or dust around, because that in your eyes sucks. Alright, let's get started. Eventually you'll have it trimmed down, and it'll actually start to look like what it's supposed to. This is when you pull out the smaller tools. In my case, this is my coping saw. Although, I do suggest to anyone that they just make the whole project using the coping saddle. But I also suggest buying a piece of wood rather than using scrap, because up at the tip it broke off because it was overly dry and brittle there. So now I'm just going to trim it down with my coping saw. Alright, so as you can see, it's looking even more like what it's supposed to. It's been cut down, but you can also see that I accidentally broke off a piece. So now I'm also going to need some wood glue to finish it off. Use a rasp to round it off so that it's smooth and comfortable to hold in your hand rather than these square edges. Alright, so now it's back on. I waited 30 minutes. You can kind of see the glue in there. Maybe if I zoom in a little. So now I've got to put that on, and then it'll be 2 more hours. So I have successfully finished. Had to do multiple coats and wait a little more than 3 hours total. But this is now completely done, and I can start shaping it and rounding it off. The rasping is kind of a long and arduous process. The more work you do, the better you can get it to look. So it's worth the time put into it, and there are very few other ways to do it. But if you do have the money or the tools, you could always use routers to get edges that are nice, and then planes to smooth it out in other ways. So after 4 hours of using the rasp on it, I have smoothed most of it out. Some pieces like this piece and this piece I'm going to leave somewhat rough, because to give them a difference in material look. So here, I need to repair here, this crease, and this notch at the very bottom there. I'll need filled in with wood putty. Let's get started on that so that I can finish this up. Quick update, I have finished most of the wood putty, but I need to wait for this part and this part to dry, and the video is already going to be late, so I'm just going to paint it anyways. I forgot to mention that before painting you need to use a carving knife like this to increase the depth at points like this, so that it's more noticeable once it's painted, especially if they're painted similar colors. So you need to do that, and then you move on to painting. Alright, so we finished the project. It's now fully painted, and it's now ready to be seen next to the other one. This is a close-up of the 2 scimitars. The one on the bottom is the one that you've seen me work, and the one on the top is the one that we have been comparing to this whole time. These are the 2 swords that Drizzt Do'Urden in the Icewind Dale and Drizzt series after that. And this was my craft, so maybe you can take what you've seen here and apply it to something of your own. This is Fallen Knight, signing off. And remember, have a great day.